Agents, are they still currently at the end of every week emailing the 5 things that they've accomplished?
I'm glad you raised that point, sir. We never did that. That email was sent across government agencies.
So it was sent to the FBI.
It was sent to.
So you just said it was never sent to the FBI. So was it or was it not?
It was sent to the FBI. I, as the director of the FBI, said we are not.
Who sent it?
We are not responding to it. It came from a general account that if any was collected, but if it was,
So you said that the FBI, that a different agency sent that email. What was that agency?
it came from the Department of Justice.
Just recently, you had a visit to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Just please tell me how that cyber tip line and how that program's future looks with these $500 million cuts.
We actually partner wonderfully with NCMEC, and we've committed to allowing our FBI employees to remain there no matter what. We will find a way to fill that mission set, even if, even under the most austere of budget cuts, because what they do is exceptional. If people don't know, they need to go there and see it. It's right in Arlington, Virginia. They find missing children from 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, and they provide treatment to those that have been abused.
Okay.
And so you have my commitment, sir, that we'll do it.
I appreciate that. And according to the domestic terrorism operations sections, the internal tagging system used to track domestic terrorism investigations was eliminated, and the staff of 16 was reduced. Can you tell me that future and where you hold that program?
Sir, if I may, can I get back to you on that in writing, because I'm not familiar with that off my head.
On August 5th, 2025, the federal government officially ended the controversial weekly 5 accomplishments reporting requirement after months of resistance and confusion across multiple federal agencies. During this hearing, Director Kash Patel defended the FBI's decision not to follow that directive, citing the Bureau's operational procedures. The policy that sparked this exchange was ultimately abandoned, making this hearing one of the earliest congressional examinations of a dispute that was later reversed. Now watch how Congressman Frank Mrvan presses Patel on whether FBI employees received the email and what happened to that information.
Then in your written testimony, you had talked about cybersecurity. I'm going to tie 2 things together. The FBI agents, are they still currently at the end of every week emailing the 5 things that they've accomplished?
I'm glad you raised that point, sir. We never did that.
Okay.
I stopped
The
that.
FBI agents were never asked to put in their goals in which they accomplished?
The
reason why I say that is because I had a specific conversation at a retirement party of a chief from an agent who expressed to me that after he had chased a car down 8094 who had stabbed a family member, and he left his home and was able to prevent that individual from killing someone else because it was cross state lines, that he had to go back, and then that next day was told he had to fill out his emails of what he accomplished.
That email was sent across government agencies.
So it was sent to the FBI.
It was sent to.
So you just said it was never sent to the FBI. So was it or was it not?
It was sent to the FBI. I, as the director of the FBI, said we are not.
Who sent it?
We are not responding to it. It came from a general account at the department.
Okay, so then my next question is, that information that my FBI agent in my district sent to that agency, how is that information protected?
I'm sorry, are you saying the agent responded to that email?
Are you saying they did not?
I told the workforce not to.
But you just told me that they received the email.
We did.
So without this, let's just assume that they did. Where did that information go, and how is it protected?
That information would have only been sent to their immediate supervisor, and every supervisor in the Bureau was told if they received any such information, it is not to be actioned in any way.
So what happened with that information with the supervisors?
I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that, if any was collected, but if it was,
So you said that the FBI, that a different agency sent that email. What was that agency?
it came from the Department of Justice.
Okay. And those emails never went back to the Department of Justice who requested it?
No, sir.
Okay. And you're 100% confident of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The information that the supervisors had from those agents, where did that go?
That should not have been transmitted anywhere. We got on top of it fast enough where I believe, and
Because you thought it was wrong?
I thought
Why did you prevent it?
Because the operational mandate that we have at the Bureau, in my opinion, prohibited the public disclosure of that information across our media.
So to be perfectly clear, the Department of Justice got it wrong.
I'm not speaking for the Department of Justice. As
You
I
are saying that that directive was in complete conflict of what your procedures and processes are.
my procedures and processes are under the Department of Justice. I'm saying as a subordinate of the Department of Justice, that's where the email came from. I don't know where it came from on top of them.
But your directive was to make sure that the Department of Justice did not get the FBI information,
That no one got it.
except the supervisors. Why would they request it if they would never get it?
Well, the supervisors were told to stand down. What I'm trying to say is when that email came in, we acted as fast as we could, I think the same day, to say we are not in a position to do that. Everybody hit pause till we figure out what to do. And the end result was we at the FBI are not complying with that request to publicly do so. And we told agents that if you feel the need to express that information to your supervisors, only do so on the classified system.
Okay. The information that I received, that personal conversation that I had, that agent didn't seem like he felt the need. He felt it was a directive. I thank you for your forthcoming. I look forward to working with you. The purpose of me bringing up this questioning was to make sure that that information is secure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
I'll
very
double
much.
check.
Since this May 7th, 2025 House Appropriations Committee hearing, many of the issues discussed by Representative Frank Mrvan have remained central to congressional oversight of the FBI. During the hearing, FBI Director Kash Patel publicly opposed the administration's proposed $545 million reduction to the Bureau's fiscal year 2026 budget, telling lawmakers the FBI would need more funding to fully carry out its mission. However, just one day later, while appearing before the Senate Appropriations Committee, Patel adopted a different position, saying the FBI would make the mission work under whatever funding Congress ultimately approved, even while acknowledging that additional resources would improve the Bureau's capabilities. The proposed budget cuts also prompted continued debate over funding for cyber investigations, violent crime, counterterrorism, and partnerships with organizations such as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, which Patel described during this hearing as a mission the FBI intended to continue supporting despite budget pressures. The controversy surrounding the Department of Justice email asking federal employees to summarize weekly accomplishments also remained a subject of public discussion after this hearing. During his testimony, Patel stated that although the email reached FBI personnel through the Department of Justice, he immediately instructed FBI employees not to comply with the request and directed that any information shared internally should remain within FBI supervisory channels rather than being transmitted back to DOJ. In the months that followed, congressional oversight of the Bureau continued to focus on workforce management, internal restructuring, surveillance compliance, and budget priorities. Later in 2025, additional FBI organizational changes, including the closure of the Bureau's Office of Internal Auditing and broader restructuring efforts, generated further scrutiny from lawmakers who questioned how internal reforms could affect accountability and operational oversight. One of the central themes of this hearing was trust inside the federal law enforcement system. Representative Frank Mrvan repeatedly questioned whether sensitive information provided by FBI employees could have been transmitted outside the Bureau after the Department of Justice requested federal employees to report their weekly accomplishments. His concern was less about the email itself and more about whether confidential operational information belonging to FBI agents remained adequately protected. Given the nature of the Bureau's investigative work, even routine administrative requests can raise legitimate questions when they involve personnel engaged in ongoing criminal or national security investigations. Director Kash Patel responded by drawing a clear distinction between the Department of Justice and the FBI's internal operational procedures. He acknowledged that the email had been distributed across government agencies, including the FBI, but emphasized that he immediately instructed Bureau personnel not to comply with the request in the manner originally intended. According to Patel, supervisors were directed not to forward any responses outside the FBI, and any necessary internal communications were to remain within classified systems whenever appropriate. His testimony reflected an effort to reassure lawmakers that protecting investigative information remained the Bureau's highest priority. Another significant part of the hearing focused on funding rather than administrative procedures. Representative Mrvan expressed concern about the proposed reductions affecting programs that protect vulnerable children, particularly the FBI's partnership with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Patel responded by describing the organization's work as indispensable and pledged that the Bureau would continue supporting its mission regardless of financial constraints. That exchange demonstrated an area where both lawmakers appeared to share common ground despite broader disagreements over the FBI's budget and management priorities. The hearing also illustrated how congressional oversight often extends beyond individual policies to questions of leadership and decision-making. Mrvan repeatedly pressed Patel to explain exactly how information moved through the Bureau after the DOJ request and whether sufficient safeguards existed to prevent unintended disclosure. Patel answered many of those questions directly, but also acknowledged that he did not yet know every administrative detail and committed to providing additional information in writing where necessary. That willingness to supplement testimony later is a common feature of congressional hearings involving complex federal agencies. Beyond the specific email controversy, the hearing reflected a broader challenge facing modern law enforcement agencies, balancing government-wide administrative directives with the unique operational requirements of organizations responsible for national security and criminal investigations. While many federal agencies can adopt uniform reporting systems, the FBI often operates under additional security restrictions because of classified investigations, confidential sources, and ongoing intelligence operations. Patel argued that these operational realities required the Bureau to handle the DOJ requests differently than other agencies. The discussion also highlighted the continuing debate over FBI resources. Congress must regularly decide how to balance funding for violent crime investigations, cybercrime, counterterrorism, child exploitation, and other federal priorities while operating within broader budget limits. Supporters of increased funding argue that expanding threats require additional personnel and technology, while others believe agencies should improve efficiency before requesting additional appropriations. Those competing priorities continue to shape annual budget negotiations on Capitol Hill. Looking back, this hearing was ultimately less about one email and more about institutional accountability. Representative Mrvan sought assurances that sensitive information belonging to FBI employees remained protected and that programs safeguarding children would not suffer because of budget reductions. Director Patel defended the Bureau's response, maintaining that the FBI acted quickly to prevent inappropriate dissemination of employee information while reaffirming its commitment to its core public safety mission. The exchange demonstrated how oversight hearings serve not only to examine government decisions, but also to clarify how federal agencies interpret and implement directives that could affect national security, employee privacy, and public confidence.